Hi, and welcome to STEM at Home. My name is Elizabeth. Usually I'm a librarian, but today I'm a scientist. This month at STEM at Home, we'll be making Oobleck. Why is it so hard to get out of quicksand? Is it a solid? Is it a liquid? Is it both? In this activity, we'll be making a substance that is similar to quicksand, except more fun and way less dangerous. It's called Oobleck, which is a silly name inspired by a Dr. Seuss story called Bartholomew and the Oobleck. In this story, Oobleck threatens a kingdom. By continuing to expand and trap people in its stickiness, it doesn't act like any other substance and they don't know what to do. Let's make some Oobleck. First, you'll need to ask an adult for permission and maybe some help. Then you'll need cornstarch, water, and a big bowl. You'll also need a spoon if you don't want to get your hands messy, but it's much more fun to mix it with your hands. To make Oobleck, we're going to start by putting 1 cup of cornstarch in our bowl. Okay, that's about a cup. It's messy, so be ready. Okay, so once you have a cup of cornstarch in your bowl, you're going to add a 1/2 cup of water. Now you're going to mix it with a spoon or your hands. I'm going to start with a spoon. Get it. It's starting to come together. So you're just going to want to mix this until it's one, type of, no more powder is left. And it's hard to mix. Okay, we're going to go to hands. Ooh. Oh, I need more water in mine. Go ahead and add water or cornstarch depending on the consistency. You can see it's starting to turn into Oobleck. It should kind of be like this substance that when you push hard on it, it is a solid, but if you let it drip like that, it's a liquid. Still mixing. Ooh, you could add food coloring to this. It might make your hands colored though, so be careful with that. You might want to wear gloves if you don't want it. Okay, so there's a lot of starch on the bottom of mine, so we need to mix it. Most Newtonian fluids have a constant viscosity, and viscosity is our first vocab word. Viscosity is the property of a liquid that describes how fast or slowly it will flow. You can think of viscosity as how thick a liquid is. A liquid with high viscosity, like peanut butter, will flow very slowly. A liquid with low viscosity, like water, will flow very quickly. Oobleck doesn't follow any of those rules though, and that's what makes it a non-Newtonian fluid. Oobleck can feel like a solid when you hold it in a ball with a lot of pressure, but it can be a liquid when you let your hand go and use lower pressure to hold it. Other, more familiar substances change states from solids to liquids to gases when we change the temperature, such as freezing water into ice or boiling it away into steam. Oobleck shows how changes in pressure instead of temperature can change the properties of some materials. Pressure is our second vocab word. Pressure is a measure of the amount of force applied on an area. There are many ways to measure pressure, but for this experiment, we're going to be measuring it by how hard we squeeze Oobleck, how gently we let it flow through our hands, how hard we tap or pat the top of Oobleck, and how gently we let our fingers sink in. Oobleck can feel like a solid when you hold it in your fist like a ball and squeeze it with a lot of pressure, or if you open up your hand and let it flow with less pressure, it becomes a liquid. The Oobleck mixture isn't your typical liquid or solid. The cornstarch and water mixture creates a substance more like quicksand than water. If you were trapped in a tub of Oobleck, how would you get out? Now that you know how Oobleck acts and you know a little bit more about pressure, what would be the best way to escape something like quicksand or Oobleck? Answer down below. A few more things you can do with your Oobleck. Take your Oobleck and put it into a glass and let that glass sit for an entire day. The Oobleck is going to turn back into water and cornstarch. That's because Oobleck is a suspension, not a mixture. We learned about that in the last science video. Next, take a spoon and stir the Oobleck. How long until it turns back into this substance? or it makes it hard to stir. When you're finished playing with your oobleck, make sure you put it in the garbage can and not down the sink. Putting it in the sink could cause a clog because it's thick and very viscous. Thank you for making oobleck with me, and I'll see you again next month for another experiment.